So here in my Country Integrated Project folder, a subfolder of Vector Graphics Project folder, I've got an early version of my Illustrator, and then I made quite a few adjustments, and so I've got a later date as well. If we look at that Illustrator file, you can see that I've gotten rivers and lakes into two separate layers. I've got my original map here, but it shouldn't be visible for what you're exporting. It was used to create all the rest. It's time to hide it and then show just the layers that you want to start off with. With mine, the islands are not a big deal, so I'm going to show them right from the beginning. And I've also made a layer that has my country's name on it. It's comprised of two different text blocks, the name of the country and then the continent on which it is found. There may be other things you could say. Australia is its own continent, so maybe you would put the island continent underneath it. Something that's going to really illustrate what it is that you've drawn here. And most of you do have some section of the screen that is blank because your country doesn't really take up the full widescreen space that this one does. So I'm going to go ahead and export this first one as a PNG. And I need to actually export, not save as. Now it's going to start off in the right folder there, but I'm doing this on a different day, so I'm going to change it to the 13th. And then this is my first picture that's just plain Honduras. It is good to number those. Now using PNG is great, but don't forget to click Use Artboards. I'm having to redo this tutorial because I did it for the first one and forgot it on the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and export. If you don't do that, it's going to trim to whatever you've drawn. In this case, it would make it smaller and cut off parts of the image I don't want cut off. And then later on, it would include things that I didn't put on my artboard. It was off the artboard. Let me go ahead and do the export. I've changed this from medium to high to give me a pretty high resolution image. In case I wanted to do any printing of these later on, it would be really nice. I've also changed it from a transparent background, which could be useful in a lot of cases, and that's the main strength of the PNG format, but in this case I'm just going to make it white. It takes it a moment to do that exporting. It is doing a very high resolution. Let's take a look at it here as it's being created. And now I'm selecting it. That's 8,000 by 4,500. We would be pretty happy to find a picture like that on the internet. So let's go ahead and do the next one. So next I'm going to show you something else that I created, which is my capital. It includes the name of the capital and a little star, which is in the location of the capital city, Tegucigalpa. So this would be a great second slide. I'm going to do File, Export, and select this one right here, and this is going to be to capital. Then I'm going to add in my waterways. Since I only have one lake, I'm probably just going to do both of them at the same time. If you have one of those countries that has a whole lot of rivers and a whole lot of lakes, it would be pretty nice to go ahead and put those separately. What I do want to do is hide the name of the capital city. I've already talked about that. I've already shown it. And I'll just leave the star where it is. That way people can really see the rivers. File, Export once again. And this time I can select this one to get the name and then type 3 rivers and lakes. Or there'll be 2 images if yours has quite a bit more than mine does. The next thing I plan to show are my neighboring countries. Notice that with Nicaragua showing up, this country name really needs to go away. So if you haven't been able to outline those countries, at least create layers with the names of those different countries so that they can appear as these are the neighboring countries slide. Okay? File, exporting again, and simplifying this to for Nicaragua. But notice what I did. If I look at this, these have now been trimmed. I've made the mistake again. So I imagine a number of you are going to do that as well. Let me go back and do this the right way. I'm going to go back and rename this one as well. I'm going to take out that 01. This is the one I did do correctly. And let me try this again. So I'm going to turn off the things that I don't want yet. I'll leave the islands on. And I needed to turn on my capital. So I've still got that. Okay, so this is actually slide number 2. And this will work so much better if I do what I'm trying to teach you, which is always use the artboards there. I'm going to click on this to get the name and put 2 capital and try this again. Next, of course, I'm turning off the name of the capital city and turning on my rivers. And in this case, I only have the one lake. Artboard first, then go change the name here. This is going to be 3. And then I'm going to do neighboring countries, turning off the name of my country to make room for it. You may not need to do that. Artboards for Nicaragua. El Salvador. Artboard first. Select and change the name. If you're going to have way too many slides to do this, you could do them in sections. Neighbors to the north, neighbors to the east, neighbors to the west. I just have these 3 right here. So and then I've got my 2 oceans. I've got my Caribbean and my Pacific. One's an ocean, one's a sea, I know. File, export. Once again, making sure that I choose use artboards. Using that to jumpstart my name. And one last one here with the Caribbean Sea. And of course I did not choose artboards. It's very easy to forget that. No excuses. These have to be done right. So this is a long tutorial. I don't think I'll be speeding it up, but if you will go ahead and make whatever slides are going to work for your country with as much as you've drawn, I would expect there to be more than just a couple of them. Everybody's will be different. You may have stopped watching this quite a while ago because you got this figured out. Just don't forget those artboards.